It's time to swarm the 402. Welcome to the Nebraska Hawks. These guys are brave. They're Hawkeyes, living in enemy territory. Listen, these guys are way past their prime, but they're still Hawkeyes. They're spreading the Hawkeye hype to all of Nebraska. The frost advisory is canceled. Corn Huskers, more like corn suckers. Are you ready for this podcast? Let's go Hawks!
All right, welcome back to the Nebraska Hawks Nest, your Hawkeye oasis located in a Nebraska desert. We are lucky enough today to be joined by 90's Iowa basketball star Wade Lookingbill, sir. Welcome to the Nebraska Hawks Nest. We're excited to have you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. I'm excited because, this is taking me back. Wade and I were talking. We're about the same era of high school basketball back in Iowa. I went out. I tried to find my shorts, but for some reason they don't fit anymore. And, one of the big burning questions, Wade, was how happy were you back in the day when the Fab Five came along and stylized the longer shorts so that we didn't have to wear those goofy things anymore?
So my high school shorts were tough. Nobody wants to see those, but by the time I got to college, they were a little
Let's
longer.
take a look at this.
It's not bad.
Still looks good right there.
Not bad. Yeah, it needs a haircut, I think. But so my shorts weren't too bad. Now my high school shorts, I think you get arrested if you try to wear those outside the house. But Michigan, man, they changed everything from the black shoes, black socks, the baggy shorts. Things are cyclical though. They're starting to come back around. You see, a lot of the kids flipping the shorts over, especially in the women's game. They really shorten them up, and they got pretty long there for a minute. So I think it's good that we're kind of getting back to the more normal.
Yeah. Well, we were at least old enough or young enough that we didn't have to deal with the knee-high tube socks. That was a little bit before our time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I remember it got so bad at a point where I would try to dribble the ball through my legs, and once in a while I'd get caught in the shorts. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. And then now, like you said,
you at least wear those shorts. It was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, geez. And then, like you said, it's weird with fashion in general. Everything has just come to a complete circle. The high shorts are back in, all the old school stuff. You're seeing people wear high-waisted jeans and crop tops and the circle glasses from the 70s.
Yeah, even the mom's jeans. I mean, it's crazy. Our daughter's 17 and that's what they wear. It's bizarre, but
they look uncomfortable.
It's fashion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we move on here to the playing days and everything, I got to say though, man, you still that picture Adam showed was from 2014, I think, off your Twitter feed. And I mean, you look like you could pick up the ball and get out there and play again. I think you and Rob Houtland, I think when we interviewed him, you guys have a fountain of youth that you've maintained or something.
Yeah, Wade.
It's something where when you're a little taller, I'm 6'6", so you can hide the extra pounds a little bit. I'm still okay if I have to go straight. But boy, if you got to move laterally, I got nothing. I got nothing side to side. So
yeah, I felt that comment, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, we're just telling us we're not chubby. We're just laterally challenged.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I'm only
lateral. Yeah. It's
maybe a little horizontally too. But anyway,
touche. I'm only 6'1", so I'm not actually a little thick. I'm just not tall enough. So I appreciate that vote of confidence. Wade, let's update Hawkeye Nation, everybody, on what you're up to now. It blew my mind at the Iowa football game. I believe it was. Let's see, which game was that? Purdue. I ran into you. I'm like, hey, we're going to stop and you have a refreshment on the way into the stadium. And I look over and standing behind me is Wade Lookingbill. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's Wade Lookingbill, one of my favorite players of all time. Thanks. So that was pretty cool. A huge moment for me to be able to run into you. I was talking about that all weekend, telling people. But enough about my excitement. Tell us what's going on with you in your life, your family, and everything that's going on with you guys.
Yeah. So we live in Urbandale, Iowa, suburb of Des Moines, and we have two kids. I'm married, my wife Angie. We have two kids. Our daughter is a senior in high school. Our kids go to Waukee Northwest, to the new Waukee High School that just opened this fall. She's a dancer. She likes to dance, both in studio dance and then with the school team, the Waukee Northwest school dance team. And our son's a sophomore, and he likes soccer. He's kind of tall, about 6'5", and he's a goalkeeper on his club team and on his school soccer team. So I know nothing about either of those sports, so it's actually kind of nice. I can't yell at the coaches or yell at the officials because I don't really know that much about it anyway. And my son's a goalkeeper, so he either stops the ball or he doesn't, and we go have ice cream, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, I might have been the worst soccer player of all time. I don't, Jerry, did you ever play soccer?
I was the goalie again because I think I was laterally challenged back then on my mobility. So yeah, I was always the goalie at my height and size. So.
Yeah, it's a good sport. I like it. It's nice actually because there's no timeouts. There's no substitutions are minimal. Unless it's a tournament, there's no overtime. So you just kind of get in, get out, and it's actually fun to watch. I like it.
Hey, Wade, I mean, speak on that a little bit, though. Where your kids play soccer, is that kind of a relief for you, with your basketball background? Is that just kind of a relief to be able to just be the every guy parent out there? I mean, versus if they were, playing, if they were focused on basketball?
Yeah, that's good. It's a good question. Maybe. I mean, our kids, when they were younger, they played, all the sports. And I think you just kind of gravitate to what you like, and you kind of gravitate to what you have some success at. My son played basketball, but he liked it, but he didn't love it. And once it started to kind of conflict with soccer, that was the end of basketball. And our daughter was the same way. She really gravitated towards dance early. She was 2 when she started taking dance lessons and that type of thing. But whatever they want. I mean, it's everybody's different. Whether it's music or sports or the debate team, everybody's different. You just got to kind of let your kid figure it out and then support them as best you can.
Is it kind of nice just being able to be the average parent, though, without the coach looking at you for advice?
Yeah, for sure. And I coached my son and my daughter when she was playing, soccer, baseball, basketball, softball. And it was fun. I liked it, but it is kind of nice. Soccer is so different. You have to get certified, and I don't want to coach soccer. I don't really want, to be involved in that. And then dance is a whole nother animal. But it is kind of nice just to sit back and relax and watch your kids play.
Wade, you're telling us you don't want to be a dance coach? Because I could totally see it.
I think that's one thing that you really, I think, have to have been a player or been a dancer, so to speak. You can learn, even soccer, you can learn the formations in basketball and baseball. You can YouTube video it to death. But I think dance is one thing where unless you were a dancer growing up, you're not going to be able to teach it. It's different for sure.
Well, and again, we're going back to that, laterally challenged thing, that we all seem to be facing. So yeah. Probably a good thing for your health, maybe, that you stay out
for
of
sure.
that,
For sure. Yeah.
Well, dance is a legit sport. I mean, that is a legitimate sport. My daughter did it for quite a while, and she just kind of like what you said about your kids. She just evolved into the stuff that she really was passionate about, which was softball and volleyball. And so, if you're going to be really dedicated to a sport, you spend your off season focusing on those sports. So I think that's a really great thing, and that you mentioned, and really tells kind of who you are as a parent, that you let your kids lead you and you let them tell you what they want to do, and don't force, I played basketball at Iowa. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to. And you see a lot of parents today that are trying to drive their kids to a Division I scholarship where, it really can't ever be the parent. It's got to be the kid driving the bus.
Yeah. You need to encourage your kids and push them a little bit, but you can't be that parent that forces them to do things, because no one's going to benefit from that. No one's going to get better. No one's going to have any fun. And, as your kids get older, things get a little more competitive. But, when I was coaching little kid basketball, we used to always say, we're going to play hard, we're going to have fun, and we're going to get better. And that's it. I think maybe we should all do that in every sport, every game we play or every endeavor we try to do.
Yeah.
So, Wade, going into the Wayback Machine now, let's go back to the Fort Dodge of the 70s and 80s. And how did a young Wade Lookingbill develop? Where did, we're talking about your kids. How did you as a kid, where did your love of basketball come from? What was it like growing up? How'd you, what inspired you growing up, and how'd you get to, to actually the Mr. Basketball of 1988 in the state of Iowa?
Yeah. I always liked basketball. My dad coached basketball before I was even born, but I always liked basketball. And, it's something where back when I was growing up and when I was playing at Iowa, it's not like it is now. There weren't a lot of choices for games, and, ESPN was in its infancy, if even it existed. So it was the Iowa Television Network, and and they broadcast Iowa games. So in Fort Dodge, when I was young, that's what you watch. It's a Thursday night, mid-February, not much going on. So you kind of turn the TV on, and for me, it was Steve Carfino and Greg Stokes, Michael Payne, those guys running up and down. And then I was state free throw champion when I was 9, the old Elks hoop shoot. How about that? So that's the only time I got to the field house in Iowa City. We went at halftime and got to go out on the court for the 3 state regional competition or something. But I was ever in the field house. But I moved to Fort Dodge, and then just it was a really good thing for me to how I developed as a player. There's a lot of good things with a small town, but the competition just wouldn't have been there. I moved to Fort Dodge when I was 10, and then just got involved with youth basketball. The Fort Dodge Y was awesome. I remember in junior high, we'd walk from North Junior High, and I'd carry my trombone. I'm in 7th grade, and we'd walk down to the Y and play bumper pool and basketball, and have a candy bar. My mom would pick us up at 5:30. It was great. So everything was simple. But also at the Fort Dodge Y, you had to be tough. They had a chalkboard where you'd write your name up on like who had the next game. So the 5 playing, and the next 5 would write their name on the chalkboard, then the next 5. And I still remember guys coming in and seeing my name on there, and they just took their hand and erased my name, and they said, "You ain't playing," and so you just wait around, and it got to be later. Guys had gone home, and then you get a chance to play, and you kind of develop a little bit of toughness from that. And guys weren't mean about it, but they were just like, you're not playing, young kid. It's my turn. So, and then in high school, we had really good teams in high school. My 4 state tournaments, 85, 86, 87, and 88, and just had really good teams, really good conference. The old Big 8 conference was terrific. So a lot of high major kids came out of there, and it was a lot of fun.
Yep. You were also on a really massive AAU team that had a lot of success as well. I mean, what was that experience like? You were playing, that was probably Skinner, Brian Pearson. Trying to think of some other names that were on that, but tell us what that experience.
Yeah, Morgan Wheat played with us. Jay Goodman, my old high school teammate. Chris Street came up when he was a sophomore then towards the end, but it wasn't like it was today. We played at that time, again, late 80s, well, mid 80s, really. You played 2 AU tournaments. You played in the U17 and the U19. And, we won the state tournament, the state championship. We had a pretty good team. And then one year we went to Virginia Beach. The biggest one was down in Rogers, Arkansas. No, is that where Arkansas State is? I think it was Rogers. Anyway, somewhere down in Arkansas. And it was big time. That was U17. I mean, everybody was down there because everybody was getting recruited. And again, those were the only AAU tournaments at the time, really around the country, was just that national sanctioned event. But again, that gave me a chance to play against a lot of, college and future pros. Whereas, even in Fort Dodge, there just wasn't a whole lot of competition, and you got exposure, again, obviously pre-internet, pre-Twitter, pre-cell phones. So you had to actually be seen by coaches. And I had some success at those national tournaments. And I was lucky enough that Iowa offered me a scholarship.
Speaking, Wade, of getting offered a scholarship at Iowa, can you go back to your recruitment process? What that was like, maybe some of the other schools that you were getting recruited by that you were potentially considering, and what were your first impressions of Dr. Tom Davis?
Yeah. So again, this is 1987, so everything has changed so much. But I got invited down for an official visit the fall of '87. So this is the fall of my senior year. and was playing football. So we played football that night, Friday night in Cedar Falls at Unidome. And then my parents and I drove into Iowa City Friday night, Saturday night, and then came home Sunday. But so so that weekend on my visit was myself, LaFonso Ellis, who's at Notre Dame, was a pro forever. A guy named Tim Breaux, who I think he went to Wyoming. I think he played for the Rockets for a while. Okay. And then the big dude was Sean Kemp. So Sean Kemp was on campus same time I was.
The Rain Man.
Unbelievable. Elkhart, Indiana. I mean, just yeah. So again, this fall of '87, and so I didn't get a lot of attention that weekend. You know, they got guys coming in. Again, this is when Iowa, you know, they had McDonald's All-Americans in a lot. Eric Anderson visited. David Booth was in the next week. But so what Tom Davis told me. So what you do is you come in, go to the football game Saturday night, Saturday, go out Saturday night, run around with some players, and then you have breakfast or lunch with Coach Davis on Sunday. So Coach Davis sits me down, and I talked to him, you know, throughout the weekend, but mostly it was Gary Close was kind of the lead recruiter for me, and he told me, he said, Wade, we're not going to offer you a scholarship today. We think you're the best player in the state, but we're not going to offer you a scholarship. We just want to see how your senior year goes. So I thought, okay, that's fair. It kind of made me mad, you know. Again, but it's so different back then. I didn't know what was going to happen or what they were going to do. So that was good. That was fine, I guess. So then they signed. That's in November. They signed Ray Thompson, McDonald's All-American, James Moses, and AC Earl. Those three really good players. And then they still had one scholarship open, and I thought, well, you know, that's going to be mine. And then in February they offered Troy Skinner. So now they're out. Now they're out of scholarships. So, you know, I'm kind of thinking, man, I need a place to go. So Drake's recruited me. UNI's recruited me. Northwestern Wisconsin came in a couple times, but they'd already backed off. So the Iowa coaches still kept talking to me. They kept saying, hey, just be patient. Things are going to change. Things are going to open up. They'd come see me play a couple times. I had one really bad game. I had one really good game that Rudy Washington was the assistant coach at the time, and that helped me a lot. And then just it was the way basketball, the way things happen. Mark Jewell, who was a really good player out of Evansville, Indiana. He was Mr. Basketball in Indiana maybe in '86. He wasn't playing a lot at Iowa, and he was a good player, but he was behind Brad Lohaus and Al Lorenzen and Eddie Horton. So he transferred from Iowa once the season's over, late March, back to Evansville to go to school at Evansville, and it opens up a scholarship. And they called me the next day and said, you know, the secretary calls you. It's kind of funny, you know, the secretary calls you and says, please hold for Coach Tom Davis, and they offer you a scholarship. And again, everything's so strange. You get that FedEx envelope in the mail the next day, and I think they maybe still do it. I don't know what they do, but you have to fax it back in, and you know, nothing's official until they receive the fax, so you kind of keep things quiet. But you know, my recruitment was really unique. I did go down to one game that during the season in Iowa City, but again, just scholarship opened up and it worked out really well. I was lucky, very fortunate.
Did you have any discussions with Johnny Orr in the Iowa State program at that time?
Yeah, they'd see me play a couple times. Gosh, the coach. That's terrible. He just passed away. Terrific guy. The assistant coach at Iowa State. That's terrible. Worked with Iowa games forever. Coach Hallahan, Jim Hallahan. Okay. Had seen me playing, talked to me a couple times, and you know, it just was something where they got a lot of guys from Michigan, and they were already set kind of at my position, that 3-4. But yeah, Johnny came to a couple games. Yeah.
Well, that's great, you know, and it's, you know, I'm going back here, and I mean, again, you know, when you look at that class you were in, and I mean, I don't know, you know, looking back at it, it's you were just in such a class with like your AU teammates. That '88 team was just strong. There's a lot of recruits coming from in-state, so it just seemed like you know, being Mr. Basketball amongst that group would have spoke a little bit louder for that. But we're awfully glad as Hawkeyes that you ended up where you did.
Yeah, so, you know, it was something where, you know, where I grew up as a 6'6" kid. Again, you know, it's hard to imagine this, but the 3-point line wasn't invented or wasn't used in high school basketball until I was a sophomore in high school. So I never thought about shooting a 3-pointer. You know, you're kind of tall and you can jump okay, so you just go down low and you score 24 points a game and get 13 rebounds. But you don't think about doing ball handling drills. You don't think about shooting from the perimeter, which is something where I think kids nowadays, they do that from day one. You look at like a guy like Peyton Sanford, who's a freshman at Iowa. I watched Peyton play forever here at Waukee, and he just 6'8", but he can handle it, he can shoot it. 30 years ago, that's me. 35 years ago, really, that's me. You just go down low, and you post up, and you score, and you don't think about it. But the game has changed so much. Between the shot clock and the 3-point line. If I was 15 years old today, that's all I would do is ball handling drills and shoot threes.
Well, and back, I don't think you can understate enough how much different it was. Because, like you said, getting a FedEx package back then with the offer, a phone call had to happen with you when you were at home or at school. I mean, there was no cell phones. You weren't carrying anything with you. Everything was snail mail, and there was no 24/7 and rivals like it is now. I mean, back then it was these guys doing the scouting, going from city to city, and and writing periodically or what have you. I mean, it was just so much more of a detached kind of method than what it is now, where everybody's accessible at all times. So
yeah, it was, and I didn't know, I knew the kids in the Midwest just from playing against them in at basketball camps. I knew the Illinois kids, some of the Indiana kids, but that's about it. It's just something where unless you saw them on WGN in the Illinois state basketball tournament, you didn't know who. I can't, the guys from Florida, you might have seen them at that National AU tournament, but I would get letters in the mail. George Raveling was big on that. He was recruiting me for a while at USC. He'd send things in the mail, just really kind of odd things. And then the letters just stop. They just either don't, got somebody already in that fit or, it's just really different where they don't say, hey, we found somebody else, or and I didn't have major offers. I only had 3 or 4, and Iowa was the best fit for me. It was the best offer I had, and it was something where they were loaded. There was some good years of late 80s, early 90s. The Big Ten was real strong. You forget that Chris Webber went first in the draft in '93. Big Dog Glenn Robinson went first in the draft in '94. Michigan was loaded. They won in '89. A lot of good players.
Yeah. Geez, for those youngsters out there, Wade, educate all of them on Tom Davis, the coach, the human being, and what your relationship was with him.
Yeah, Coach Davis was just very, just a really intelligent guy. Literally he has a PhD. That's where the doctor comes from, but just a really intelligent guy. And looking back, he was probably one of the first coaches that ran the program almost like a corporation. He was at practice every day, and then would send the assistants out to recruit or to scout, that type of thing. But he was at practice every day. He loved that. I think he almost liked practice better than the games. Just very analytical, philosophical, and the way he played was really unique with the pressing style. Guarding the inbounds passer, and then especially with the bounce pass. His thought was that the natural position, especially for big guys, is to have their hands, kind of down, almost down by their waist. And so you shot fake and then throw the bounce pass into Cioro or Les Jepson. And you still see that sometimes, and it kind of makes sense. The game has changed so much again with the shot clock. When I played, we had a shot clock in college, but it was 45 seconds. So, man, if you're up 10 points with 8 minutes to go, you just run the clock down and grind it out, and game's over. But now you got to keep firing. You got to take the first good shot you get. It's more like an NBA game than it is a college game when I played. But Coach Davis is a great person, terrific basketball mind, and it was too bad the way things ended for him in Iowa. If it was time for a change, then they should have done it definitely a different way. Because he no question deserved better than the way he was treated that last year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what you think, Jerry, too, and no disrespect to the Iowa administration at that time, but that move of moving Coach Davis out, I think set Iowa basketball back about 15 years. It took us a long time to recover from that move.
Yeah. Well, so I was 99, and Nick Collison was a senior that year, and I don't know if they could have got Nick. I know Nick a little bit. He grew up in Fort Dodge for his first, I think, 12 years, and I've talked to him here and there. But he loved the Hawks. He loved Chris Street. Knew me from Fort Dodge. I don't know if they could have had him, but they would have had a good shot. But just that lame duck year made no sense. I mean, you just stop recruiting. Literally, you don't call anybody because you're going to be gone. It was unheard of. And that was Bob Bowlesby, and again, if he wants to make a change, that is totally within his right. But it took a long time to dig out of that. The coaches they hired after that. And even when Coach McCaffrey came in, was it 10 years ago, that cupboard was bare. And it's taken a long time to dig out of that. And I think now you're seeing some of the guys they got visiting, some of the guys they got committed that are, 15 years ago, they were turning down, not to minimize, Tulsa or Western Illinois, but now Iowa's getting commits from, guys that are turning down, Michigan State, Minnesota, Illinois, high major types of programs.
Yeah. So what kind of coach, in behind the scenes was Dr. Tom Wade, because you mentioned a couple of systems. So you have a Gary Close, you have a Rudy Washington, you had a Bruce Pearl for a while.
Yeah.
Was Dr. Tom,
What's Bruce doing now? Anybody know what he's doing? What's he doing?
He's at Auburn.
Yeah, his shirt off there. That's crazy. He looks good though. He still looks good at the football game.
But was Dr.
He always takes his shirt off all the time.
He did that Tennessee thing too. Yeah.
Any excuse he can get, he peels
Bruce
that
is unbelievable, man. You talk about a salesman, though. That guy, I mean, he will motivate you and get you on campus and lock you up. It's something where say what you want about how he does it or his methods, but salesman, motivator first and foremost, and then also a really good basketball mind.
Yeah. I guess on the question of Bruce Pearl, I mean, if you don't know or no comment, that's fine. But, he had that with Dion Thomas at Illinois. There was that kind of that back and forth. And ever since then, only reason I bring it up here is ever since then, Illinois has just had it out for Iowa basketball for those last years and such. Were you privy to any information or, anything on that? Or was that
so
just
Dion,
out of your realm?
Yeah, I played against Dion a couple times. And my junior year, my sophomore year, we were struggling. We had kids flunk out and we ranked 18th in the country at one time, but then everything guys got hurt and everything went to hell. And Illinois was good. Oh, they were good. They had Kendall Gill and Doc Liberty and, Kenny Battle with that left hand was unbelievable. So with the Illinois thing, Bruce really did nothing wrong. I mean, he tape recorded the phone call, but it was Illinois that offered Dion the car. I mean, it was something where I never understood, why they're mad at Bruce. I can understand that, that he turned him in, I guess, so to speak. Yeah. They're the ones that, were dumb enough to do it or dumb enough not to tell him to talk about it. But so we usually flew to Champaign, but this year, that year, again, this is when everything had come out. We took a bus to Champaign. We kind of came in the dark of the night. Like usually you come in and you practice on the floor. We were struggling, man. We were struggling, but they had armed guards around Coach Pearl, and they beat us by 40. It just was nothing we could do. It was their senior night, I think, even, and we'd actually beaten them, I think, at Iowa City that year. We finished 4-14 in the conference. That was one of the games we won, but yeah, and there's always a rivalry. There's lots of Illinois kids that play for Iowa. So it's kind of, that border state rivalry, but I always like those Illinois guys. They were fun.
Yeah.
I like them.
It was kind of funny to me because about a year or two ago, I think before they played them, I mean, Dion Thomas rolled back out and they had him back in the paper. It's just kind of funny how Illinois that's always just stuck in their mind for 30, 40 years.
He used to work for the Big Ten Network. I don't know if he still does. He was okay. Yeah. I mean, he was a nice player. I mean, I think he's an all-time leading scorer, but that's because guys leave early if they're real good nowadays. It's something where it happened and was Bruce at fault? Maybe a little bit, but again, they're the ones that offered the blazer, and I should have told Dion not to talk about it.
Yeah. Are you so going back to kind of the question that got us sidetracked here, but what was Dr. Tom more the the high level coach and leave it in the hands of all those talented assistants he had, or
so he was more high level in that the basketball things, the X and O's, that was all him. But the nighttime workouts, all the stuff behind the scenes, he left that to everybody else. So he did not, he never really had lunch with us or ate with us, when you're traveling, that you have to. But and I think that's more that that CEO feel. You can't be the head man and then come have dinner with you that night, at training table. It's just something where, and that's probably how it is now too with a lot of programs. But that was really unique, and I don't think Coach Davis is. I think he's been to one basketball game since he left Iowa, and that was a couple years ago. They honored the 20th anniversary of Chris Street's death, and I happened to sit next to him at the game, and then we all went out on the court at halftime, and then he left. So he was there for a half a game, and I think that's the only one he's been back to. And it's just something where he doesn't want to be a distraction. This is not his team and that type of thing. But I still think there's, a little bit of regret or animosity to how things ended. And like I said before, if Bob Bowlesby wanted to make a change, that's totally up to him. But the way they went about it really hurt Coach Davis and hurt the program.
Oh, definitely. And I can't really blame him. I mean, that's I would feel the same way, and I would probably want to handle it the same way. But
Coach Davis is a great guy. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did a great job with Drake. I mean, yeah. Absolutely.
He really, just brought Drake basketball back to life when he was there too. Yeah. It was really exciting. And but going back to Chris, your relationship with Chris Street as a teammate and as a friend, can you really dive into what type of person he was and what kind of teammate he was to play with?
Yeah. I saw you guys' tweet today about the statue at Carver. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I
think it'd be pretty cool.
It'd be really cool. It's, Chris was a great guy. He was the best. Just kind of a small town Iowa kid, loved to hunt and fish and play basketball for Iowa. That's kind of what he liked to do. And it just happened to be 6'9". He could run and jump and was a great athlete. And Chris was going to be a pro. He was only 20 years old when he was killed, and he was still maturing as a player and becoming more athletic. And it just was a tough day. It was something where. As a team, we were starting to gel a little bit that year in '93. And, we just had to kind of duct tape everything together that last year. But Chris was the best. He was a great player, fun to hang out with. And, we'd go out at night and run around, have fun, and just a really, really good guy.
Yeah. Kind of going back to what I remember most about, Chris, one of the big things in talking about his talent when you say he'd been an NBA player, but you guys had the fortune of running into the Leitner, Hurley, Grant Hill, Duke teams 2 years in a row in the NCAA tournament. And I believe it was that 92 game when you guys played. And I just remember him taking over that second half for, it seemed like they couldn't stop him in that second half, the way he was going after it.
Yeah. Well, and that was his last game he played at Iowa was when we played at Duke that Saturday afternoon. It just was something again, where the 3-point line was now starting to be more incorporated for big guys too. And Iowa Coach Davis he called it the 4-man trailer. So the 4-man, you get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the 4-man's a power forward. He always took the ball out of bounds every time, no matter what. Dead ball, live ball, out of bounds play. 4-man always takes the ball out of bounds. So that was Chris. So take the ball out of bounds, try to push it up, see what's there, and then the 4-man would trail and stop at that 3-point line, kind of where the elbow is extended. Mm-hmm. And if he got that ball back, on a ball reversal, that was a shot every time. And Chris was starting to be really good at that. And that's something where, you saw it in college. The NBA was starting to kind of incorporate that more into the game. And he was the best rebounder in the Big Ten. It wasn't Chris Webber. It wasn't Juwan Howard. It was Chris. And when you lead the Big Ten in rebounding, that's something where you're going to get drafted. No matter, might not be first round, but again, you're going to get drafted first or second round, and that's where Chris was going.
Well, and that's kind of what you're talking about right there too. But it's also it never really gets talked about. But he's got that free throw record. Yeah, I mean, when's the last time a 4 or a 5 can shoot free throws like that? I can't really name of anybody else. I mean, usually it's your guards and maybe your 1 or 2s. But I mean, the fact that he was just so all around that he even has that free throw record on top of what you were talking about down in the post. I mean, he was just a phenomenal all around.
He came in as a freshman, and again, like I grew up, you're tall, you just go down to the post and you use your athleticism and your height, and you get 22 and 13 every game, and it's pretty easy. Now you go to college and you got Weber and Howard and Eric Anderson. It's different. So you have to figure it out. And Chris wasn't a great shooter when he first came to Iowa, but by that second year, that third year, he was really good. And the free throws are a perfect example. That's just hard work. There's no you don't become a great free throw shooter just by waking up. There are a few. If you're Steph Curry or even like Fred Hoiberg was unbelievable. Those guys can roll out of bed and make 100 in a row, but everybody else has got to kind of work at it.
Wade, walk us through when, as a team, in the locker room and behind the scenes, what that was like getting the news about Chris's death and how you guys handled that, and that inspired basketball that you guys played the following game against Michigan State, coming back from a 17-point deficit and beating a really good Spartan team.
Yeah. It was just a strange time. Those 10 days were really unique, and as a college kid, you're just I was 23, but I'm still a kid more than I am an adult. And Chris was killed. It was a Monday or Tuesday night, I forget. And it was the last day of, or it was the first day of the second semester. So he had a night class, and we were going to stay overnight. We always stayed for home games out at the Highlander at the hotel just to kind of get away, get the kids out of the dorm or out of your apartment. And we went out there and ate, and he was with. He was heading to his night class, and just got stuck in that snow and the ice there, and was killed instantly. And again, this is '93, so pre-internet, pre-Twitter, so nobody knew anything until. So I went home. I was in my apartment watching. It's funny. It was watching. I think it was Indiana, Michigan. We're playing basketball, like that big Monday game, and. One of the managers, Kevin Ralston, called me on the phone and said, you need to come to the arena immediately. This is probably 7:30, 8 o'clock. And first thing I thought it was is my parents. Something happened to my family. And I finally got out of him. I said, what happened? And he said Chris has been in a car accident. So you drive to Carver, and again, still don't know what's going on, but you can see it's not good. Everybody's very emotional. And Kevin Skillett, I'll never forget. He pulled me aside in a tunnel as I'm kind of walking in and kind of, coming away or going to go into the locker room. And he just says, hey, just want to let you know that Chris has been killed. And it just was something, you just kind of never forget. And then everything else, pulled everybody in. And then, you try, again, no cell phones. So you're trying to get a hold of people. And there's all kinds of rumors. I think my parents thought it was me at one time, because you just hear Iowa basketball player killed in a car accident, and just bits and pieces. And so that everything kind of shakes out, and, then you got, funeral and still trying to practice. They postponed the game the next day in Northwestern. I think they postponed another game. And then finally, I think 9 days later, went to Michigan State. It was pretty good. Sean Westburt, Anthony Pig Miller played for the Lakers for a while. Eric Snow was the guard with Allen Iverson forever with Philadelphia, and we're just not ready. We're just not ready. But like you said, we're down 16, 17 points with 3.5 minutes to go, and BTN replays it every year. They'll probably do it this year before they play at Michigan State. But come back, and Michigan State, Eric Snow was an unbelievable player, but man, he was a terrible free throw shooter, and he missed, and they all missed, and Val Barnes hit some big shots, and we tie it, and then overtime we win, and it's quite a comeback.
Well, and then the following game after that, you guys have the big upset at home then over the I believe they were number 4, number 5 Michigan team then shortly after that. And I mean, do you credit that then from what you're saying, Wade? Do you credit that with the emotional, I don't want to say emotional high because it was such a downtime, but with the strength of the emotions at that time? Or
yeah,
I mean,
that's a big part. It's that adrenaline. But we were still pretty good. ACO was a lottery pick. Russ Millard became eligible, and Russ was, could have been a great player. Just, was never really healthy at Iowa, but he was a good player, and Val Barnes could score, and James Winters was tough, and we still had some pieces. But I think it's one of those things where you're just kind of going through the motions, and you haven't come back down from that emotional. It's not a high, but that emotional energy. And the Michigan game was crazy. That was Super Bowl Sunday. CBS had the Super Bowl that afternoon, which they would never play a college basketball game before the Super Bowl. Now they have, 8 hours of pregame stuff. But we played at noon. The Fab Five came in, and we beat them too. It was fun.
Wade, tell us about personally the inspired basketball that you played because, the short moment we had to speak in person, I told you one of the biggest things I remember about you from your career is after Chris passed, just the inspired basketball that you played really took your game to the next level and just you really helped lift up all the Hawkeye fans out there with your performance on the court. Tell us about how you were feeling when you were playing, and all the motivation that led behind those amazing performances.
Yeah, I loved Chris, and he was a great player. But I had started every game my sophomore year, and then I got injured, and then maybe not every game my sophomore year, but almost every game. But and then I got injured that year. Was Chris's freshman year. And he was better than me. He would have beat me out even if I was healthy. But then when I came back as a junior and he was a sophomore, he was getting all the minutes and I was playing the 4 and the 3, kind of backing people up. And, I wasn't great at the 3, but I was okay at the 4 because I was kind of undersized, but I could shoot it okay. But that, when Chris wasn't there, it really opened up a lot of minutes for me. And I tried to just, make the most of a terrible situation. And I always tell people, basketball was the easy part, that from 1 to 3:30 when we had practice or during games, that was the easy part because you're just focused on playing basketball and playing a game. But once that stuff was over, whether it was, a Saturday night hanging out and Chris wasn't there, or it's, a team meal and you're just kind of laughing and trying to have fun and Chris isn't there. Those were the hard times.
Yeah, when you had time to think about it, because when you're in practices and games, you're distracted. So, what is Wade? Take us through. We've seen that we're talking about the on the court stuff. What are some of your favorite behind the scenes? 1 or 2 Chris Street stories as far as outside off the court, and then maybe also maybe with some other players too. What were you guys like off the court, and what are some of your favorite memories?
Yeah. So I roomed with Chris my senior year on the road. So I don't know why they match us, but they'd match you up with the roommates. So that was my guy, and we shared a room. We got our own bed, but shared a room on the road. So Chris's last game we played at Duke. Really good game. Leitner was gone, but Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley was there. That was the game. That was his last game. Set the consecutive free throw record at 34. They were good. They beat us by maybe 6, but I think it was tied at halftime. But it was a Saturday afternoon game, and we weren't flying out till Sunday. So, like all good college kids, we're going to go out and run around, see what's going on, and we go to a couple parties and things, and it's a small campus. Duke's not a very big campus at all, and very, the basketball knowledge even with the students is off the charts, and everybody gravitated towards Chris. Whether it was Duke basketball fans, Duke students, the old ladies who would come to Carver Hawkeye Arena, young kids, everybody gravitated towards Chris. Just had that personality that made you feel special and welcomed. And he was a fun guy to be around. But I just remember going out that night at Duke, and everybody just again flocked to Chris. Good game, asking questions and stuff.
Cool.
So that's one story. This is kind of a good story. So my freshman year, we played at North Carolina. This is the infamous game where Eddie Horton got fouled, but Roy Marble shot the free throws. That was a long time ago, but this is like 88 maybe. I think 88. Yeah. Played at Carolina. The Dean Dome was still new. Again, probably 6 versus 7, the rankings, and beat Carolina. Ray Thompson, the freshman, had a great game. Carolina was pretty good. They weren't as good, but they still had, I think they had Pete Chilcutt, King Rice. Who names their kid King, by the way? I've never understood who names their kid King, but what's your name, President or something? I don't know. But,
yeah. There's a lot of weird names out there.
Yeah, but King Rice was a pretty good player. Scott Williams played for the Bulls forever. J.R. Reed was on that team.
Okay.
And J.R. had visited Iowa, I think, a couple years ago, and Eddie was his host, and they didn't get along. I don't know. It's a long story. But anyway, so we beat them, stayed overnight, and we go out that night, and we go to some bar in Chapel Hill. Again, it's that triangle. It's Chapel Hill, Carolina. Duke is in Duke's in Durham, and then NC State's in Raleigh. And they're all like 10 miles apart. It's the craziest thing. So we go to some bar that night in Chapel Hill, and it's packed. And we're tall guys. Everybody's, literally standing out. We get something to drink and are hanging out. And I don't know if he's the manager, the owner of the bar comes up to us and he says, in that Southern drawl, he says, "Boy, you guys played a real good game today. Congrats on the win." He says, but then he says, "Why don't you finish your drink and go somewhere else?"
Wow.
Not in a threatening way, but he just didn't want
Right.
the Iowa basketball players there that just beat his team. So we're not that dumb. So we leave Chapel Hill, go to Raleigh, where NC State's at, who hates Carolina, and they turn the music off when we come in and welcome us in. Everybody's buying drinks and So, but it's just amazing basketball. It was funny. I played NC State one year in the tournament, Wake Forest one year in the tournament, played at Carolina, played at Duke. So kind of all those ACC schools we played, but a lot of good players. But just that triangle down there is really a unique place to be.
In my opinion, in my lifetime, it's during the period where you played, it was the heyday of college basketball because everybody stayed almost for all 4 years, no matter what. And anymore, if there's a really great player, he sticks around 1-2 years at the most.
That was a joke. That's a joke we used to say is, why did Chris Webber stay 2 years at Michigan instead of going to the NBA? Well, he couldn't afford the pay cut.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah, but it was different. I mean, if Chris Webber is a senior in high school, he's not going to college. No. Now with the NIL stuff, that may change things. We'll see how that goes. That may change some of those kids because you can make $150,000 in the G League or in that overseas that, what do they call that other league they're playing? But you got guys in college now making high six figures, if not $1 million. So again, it's going to be really interesting these next 4 or 5 years how that develops, and maybe a guy like Chris Webber, or Imani Bates is at Memphis now, reclassified, and he's a freshman in Memphis, but has to be at college for 2 years because anyway. Maybe some of those kids will stay longer now instead of going to the NBA because I think they can improve their game, and also they can make a lot of money in college.
Yeah. So, and another good name right there was during your recruiting, you mentioned Sean Kemp, and he went straight to the NBA for the money. And who's to say that he doesn't, somebody like that doesn't maybe.
He didn't really have a choice. So he just, kind of the whole supposed to go to Kentucky and got that package with the money, I think, or maybe that was Chris. I forget who it was, but yeah, he was looking to cut a deal, and but guys like that are different. They're just, Chris Webber, you see that guy for 90 seconds, and you say that guy's a pro. Not only is he a pro, he's probably a lottery pick. And not only is he probably a lottery pick, he could be a Hall of Famer. They're just different. And AC Earl had a great NBA career, and he was a lottery pick, but Chris is different than those guys. Physically, he is unique and blessed. And, Jimmy Jackson was the same way at Ohio State. He was, Chris was so physically intimidating, but Jimmy just was so good and 6'6" and handle it and shoot it. And you say, that guy's a pro. So in that respect, they don't really, it doesn't matter where they go to school or who's their coach. They're going to play in the NBA. But for every Jimmy Jackson or Chris Webber, there's guys that think they're that good and make the mistake of coming out too early, or DJ Carton, the kid from Bettendorf that went to Ohio State and then to Marquette. And I don't know, he came out or left school, and I just wish the best for him. But that's the type of kid that needs to stay in school and kind of figure things out because he's really good. But boy, at that next level, everybody's good.
I don't know if you guys know this, but my claim to fame is getting dunked on by Chris Webber's brother in an AAU tournament. So
really, I didn't know he had a brother.
Yeah, he's got a little brother, and he crammed one on me. It was at Drake at a Drake AAU tournament. Luke Walton was playing in it too, and his dad Bill was coaching. And I didn't get to play against Luke, but Chris Webber's brother dunked on me. It's pretty awesome. Claim to fame.
So Wade, going back a little bit to NIL, then what are your personal thoughts? I mean, on this, is this a good thing? What are your fears, or what do you like, or what's your personal opinion on it?
First off, it's been around for literally for 3 months. I think with July 1, everything went into effect. So, it's something where I think they had to do something because the way it was going, last year with Luka Garza, Iowa has sold all those number 55 jerseys. That's Luka Garza's number. Should he get some of that? Absolutely. When you see his face, that these betting sites steal and use his face to promote their bets or to promote their betting sites, that's not right. Now, we'll see how it works out. I mean, I think, you see Dr. Pepper with that quarterback from Clemson, DJ
Uiagalelei. Yeah, I can't even say it.
Yeah, I mean, he got benched the other game, and then during the commercial break that he's on that national Dr. Pepper commercial. So Spencer Rattler, same way. He's got a ton of money, and he's not even playing. So I think I think all these companies rushed to support those kids, but they got to be careful how they do it. So I think they had to do it. And I think it's going to, revolutionize basketball. Whether it's good or bad, time will tell. But it's something where, as a team, if you talk about Iowa basketball, they have to embrace it because if they don't, they're going to get left behind, and kids are going to go to other schools because they can get more money with NIL deals. So now, that's not the type of kid that Iowa's really going after. But I know it comes up in the recruiting conversations with kids nowadays. So you have to embrace it and you have to say, hey, we can help you all we can. But it's such a gray area because you can't line up, you can't line up Jordan Bohannon with Principal Financial Group. It's just something where you got to have something where just like you're a salesman, you talk to them and you get it lined up. But, oh, by the way, you got to go to school, you got to practice. So I think you'll see younger kids, so maybe freshmen and sophomores in high school now, really take advantage of that, and everybody else is just kind of trying to figure it out. I think it's good for the game. I think it's going to keep kids in college more, maybe for a longer time. But it's the wild, wild west.
Wade, the NIL stuff just really made me think of the whole farewell tour that you guys played on when you got after your senior year. And I remember I went to a few of the games that you guys had played, and I was just like, it was amazing getting to watch you guys play. It was just like, Iowa legends out on the court. And I don't know that they've done anything like that since that I can remember. I had bought multiple of the farewell shirts. I don't know if you remember these, but I wore this baby out. Like,
thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
I probably got $2 from that shirt, maybe just $1 from that shirt.
Well, you would have gotten 6 because I bought 3 of them. You were one of them. I had AC Earl, and I'm trying to remember who the other one was. I think I got was it Jay Webb? I think was the other one. So and Val was on there too.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience playing in that, because I remember you guys played against Bobby Hansen, and it was like the Bobby Hansen All-Stars. Yeah. And the game I went to, I can't remember. I can't remember. I think it was in Indianola, but don't quote me on that. Bobby broke his nose in the game, and he was bleeding out of his nose. And I don't know if you remember this, him taking a chair and like kind of hitting it into the wall. He was pretty upset about breaking his nose.
He was still playing. I think he probably was down there just to help us out and help the Street family out. But the farewell tour, that was something, Randy Larson, shout out to Randy Larson, that used to own the airliner. Now he owns, what's the place there in Corville on the Strip? That's terrible. He's going to kill me for not remembering. Right. There used to be sports bar. What's his place called? Anyway, it's a good place. Bob's your uncle used to own that. But man, Randy would have games lined up. Whenever we got beat in the NCAA tournament, if it was a Friday or Saturday, we'd have a game Tuesday lined up. And we would go to, I don't know, we would go to Riverside, Iowa and play the firefighters on Saturday afternoon. And Saturday night, we'd drive over to Keota, Iowa and play the teachers, and it was something where we would split everything. We would split everything with whatever organization it was. Usually it was teachers, firefighters, something like that. And as kids, we made a little money, and the town made a little money, and we tried to sell some merchandise and make a little money, but it was great. And Randy had everything lined up for us. And I don't know why they don't do that anymore. They haven't done it for years. That was 93. I know like the the really big year was like my freshman year in college was '89 when BJ, Roy, and Eddie were seniors. Because those guys were big name guys. They were big name guys. And then it just kind of carried over. You know, I know they did it for at least 2 or 3 years after I graduated in '93, but then it just kind of stopped. And
it was fun.
That was a way, you know, getting back to the NIL stuff, you know, like, so when I was in college, it's still a rule, but you could not work during the school year. Okay. So even if you wanted to generate money, couldn't do it. When I was in school, the Big Ten was set up that you only got training table, which was 1 meal a day, only when you were practicing. So practice started October 15th. You lost in the NCAA tournament March 20th. Other than that, you were on your own trying to get food. Now, you would get kind of a stipend or a check when you lived off campus, but it was still tough. You know, you had to save some money in the summer if you worked in the summer. And so I think from that perspective, I think the NIL is going to be a good thing. But the farewell tour was crazy, man. It was something – it was really neat to kind of get out to the small towns. You know, it was a big thing like in Northwest Iowa or Southwest Iowa, the towns that – weren't very close to Iowa City, could kind of get out and give back. And that's one thing with Iowa, man. The fans are great. It's unbelievable. You know, I'm an Iowa kid and was fortunate, you know, just to kind of be in the right place at the right time and play for Iowa. And I just was really excited, really lucky, and just love being a Hawk.
I remember being furious with my mom because I got one of the white ones and then I got a couple black ones too. And I had all of you guys sign the white one. And she threw it in the washer. And I said, Mom, what are you doing?
Well, that thing was worth thousands of dollars. And now it's worth $20.
Wade, it's worth sentimental value. And that's worth any dollar.
I got a whole box of them in the basement. I got plenty left over. So,
are you serious?
I got 6 or 7 probably.
Oh, geez. I was going to say, because if you do, I want one. That was my favorite shirt.
They were cheap to begin with. We were trying to get a little revenue, a little profit there. So, no, it was fun. And we made a little money, and we hope the towns made a little money and had some fun. And the farewell tour, that brings back memory. That a long time ago.
So, Wade will help you save face, but I believe Randy Larson owns the Monica's on the street.
Monica's. Yeah.
So we got to make sure we give him a shout out. We don't want to. We want to make sure we'll give him a shout out.
Randy's on the chance he did so much. I say, in all seriousness, Randy, unbelievable with the primetime league, that summer basketball league. Unbelievable what he did and the work he put into that. And I think that almost changed Iowa basketball to keep those kids. You know, James Moses was from Carson, California. You know, he got better games in California all over the place, but because of that league, he could stay in Iowa City and play pickup games. You know, guys didn't have to go home in the summer to get good basketball. They could get it right there in Iowa City. And that was all because of Randy.
Yeah. Are they still doing that primetime league?
No, it's been a couple years now. Like the Des Moines tried to have one. Or Des Moines did a really good job. They had one for quite a while, but I think those have all kind of faded away. You know, it's liability and injuries, and I think the primetime league. I think it's been at least 5 years since they've had it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Wade, we've had a great time. We're coming up on an hour here, and we don't want to keep the rest of your afternoon. This has been so much fun. I mean, I'm going back in memories now, thinking back to the old, Skinner looking like he's going to shoot a 3-pointer, but he's putting up the alley-oop for one of the guys down low. Yeah. I used to love that play under Dr. Tom.
Tom Davis. Tom Davis was so good at set plays, like out of bounds plays, dead ball plays. 10 minutes or 10 seconds left in the shot clock. He was really good at that. Very good.
You got to remember the Wade Lookingbill shot fake too. That you know how many kids copied that off you from watching you play at Iowa? I'd get the ball. I'm at the time in high school, 6 foot tall, so I got to use that pump fake a lot, and I scored a lot of points from copying.
Everybody wants to block a shot. They want to jump. Now my problem was I pump fake, and then Chris Webber comes from the weak side and blocks it into the third row. So yeah. But everybody wants to block a shot, everybody wants to jump and block a shot, but little pump fake and lean in, and
you were so good at it. I think we had a few traveling calls called that shouldn't have happened because I think you even faked the refs out on a few.
Pump fake and power. That was what Coach Davis said. You pump fake and then you try to shoot a power layup. Yeah.
Like I said, for coming out of the Des Moines area, playing basketball at the same time this has just been a blast for me. I've really enjoyed talking to you, Wade. And don't be a stranger. I think we probably covered half of what we could have asked you about. So
you guys hang in there in Nebraska now. I know you're deep in enemy territory, but good to go.
Wade, it was an absolute honor. Thank you so much for everything that you did for Hawkeye basketball over the years, all the great memories that you created for all of us. And again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to a couple old guys living in Nebraska that are huge Hawk fans.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. And I think our basketball, I think the future's bright. You know, this year's kind of a rebuilding year, obviously, but they got some talent. They got some talent on that team, and they're getting some commits from kids that are, big time kids, top 100, top 50 types of kids. So I think it's going to be a fun, next 5 or 8 years for our basketball.
Good.
If we can't make it back to you guys, we try to bring you guys to us and have a little piece of home over here. So
awesome.
All right. Thanks, Wade.
See you guys. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.